welcome back to the Nerdy Grail. Now, ever since the 21st of December, when Helluva Boss Season 2, Episode 12, Sinsmus dropped and aired, we've been sort of left in a little bit of limbo in regards to Helluva Boss, because Season 2 is now done. We're eagerly awaiting Season 3 to find out what's going to happen with Stolas, with Blitz, with Via, with Stella, with all of the crew. It's going to be interesting. What's going to happen between Millie and Moxie, with Millie's being pregnant now. There's so much to look forward to. But now we're in that little bit of a gap, waiting for trailers, teasers, and waiting for when the episodes are going to drop. So I thought it would be the perfect time to reflect back on the previous 2 seasons and all the shorts that we've had as well, because we've had a couple of shorts which were all brilliant, and do a bit of a ranking. So I'm going to do in this video a ranking of every single Helluva Boss episode and short, including the pilot as well, in my personal opinion, so you can get an idea of my personal thoughts and where I rank these episodes. Now, keep in mind, this is just my personal opinion, and everyone's list will be different. And I've had different enjoyment with each and every single one of these episodes. They're all brilliant, but I can't lie, some are a lot better than others. So, let's waste no more time. Let's jump straight into this, because this is going to be one of those longer videos, and let's rank every single Helluva Boss episode and short from best to worst, in my personal opinion anyway. Right, okay, and we are about to begin this tier list. Because it's one of the longer videos, I have got a cup of tea at the ready, because I'm going to need it to get through this, because we've got a lot of episodes. I'm not going to dwindle too much on each individual episode, but I do want you to understand my thoughts on these episodes. So we're going to kick this off with the pilot episode, because you've got to kick it off with the pilot episode. Now, the pilot episode, obviously, it's supposed to sort of give you an idea of what the show's all about, give you a brief glimpse into the characters and their personalities. And I think the pilot does do that in quite a nice way. And what's quite funny is I watched the pilot, like, towards the end. I didn't start with the pilot. I watched pretty much the normal series first and then went back and watched the pilot. So it was kind of weird seeing where it all began after seeing what happens. And the voice cast is a little bit different. So the cast in the pilot aren't all the exact same as the main show, but you've still got a couple of the originals anyway. So you've still got Brandon Rogers and you've still got Richard Horvitz. But I know that Millie was voiced by someone completely different in this, and I believe Luna as well. Stolas might have been as well, but anyway, they had most of them. But it was nice to see. And it was a fairly decent pilot episode. So I'm going to put it in B tier, because it was a nice start to the show. Wasn't too long, but gave you that taste for what's to come. Okay, so now we're getting into the proper series. So Season 1, Episode 1, Murder Family. Now, I really liked Murder Family. I thought it was a really, really fun episode. Because when my fiance first showed me Helluva Boss, I really didn't know what to expect. And it starts off quite cheery in this like school setting with all the kids like dancing around and singing. And then it gets really dark, like really dark. And then you've got Blitz, Millie, Moxie, Luna. They end up going on this mission. Well, Millie, Moxie, and Blitz do anyway, in order to kill this family. And it is really, really good. And you get the taste of what the characters are like, what their personalities are like. You get a glimpse into Stolas and the deal that Stolas and Blitz have going on. You get the early essences of this, where Blitz sort of goes into that deal with Stolas of, he has the grimoire and has to give it back to Stolas, and in order for him to keep it, he's got to exchange a night of pleasures for him. It's bizarre. I love the episode. I thought it was a really, really solid episode to start the series. So I'm going to put Murder Family in A tier, because it's a solid start to the series. Episode 2, Lululand. I think Episode 2, Lululand, is also a really, really good one. This one you get to spend more time with Stolas, and also introducing us properly to his daughter Via, or Octavia, who Octavia is a lovely character. I love Octavia, and I'm hoping that in Season 3 we're going to see a lot more of her now, because Stolas is going to want to try and get back and be with her again. But you get the nice father-daughter bonding as they go to one of these amusement parks, and Blitz is sort of there as like a little bodyguard. We get also a little glimpse into Blitz's past as at Lululand he encounters a robot mascot version of one of his old friends, Fizzaroli. So we get to see Robo Fizz in this, and they have some great little interactions. I think it's hilarious. It's a fantastic episode, and again, I think it belongs in A tier. I think Lululand is another solid episode, if I'm perfectly honest. Then we've got episode 3, Spring Broken. Now, my fiance said to me a little bit ago that she wasn't actually too fussed on this episode. This wasn't one of her favourites, but I remember quite liking it. This episode has got like an iconic line for my fiance and for me as well. Drunken Moxie, and in particular, Moxie getting accused of being a possum, and he does the classic line, "A lady called me a possum. I'm not a possum." I love it. I think it's brilliant. It's also, I believe, on the YouTubes as well that I'm not a possum. But like the basic premise is on their way to IMP, Blitz's famous parking spot gets taken up by a rival company run by his ex, Verosica Mayday. And they sort of got this back and forth rivalry going on. And so Verosica and her team go up against Blitz and his team in like a competition of who can kill more people, who can seduce more people. They sort of have a little bit of a competition going on, and they end up winning their parking spot back. So it's a nice little episode. I would agree it's probably not as strong as Murder Family or Lululand, so I'm going to actually put it on the same length as the pilot. So it's just that little bit worse, but it's still fairly solid for me. Episode 4, Cherubs. So we get introduced to the Cherubs. See, now this is an episode that I'm not too fussed on. So the whole premise is that the Cherubs are trying to convince this old man called Lipton that his life is worth living so that they can get into heaven and this, that and the other, be really good. And Blitz and all are trying to do the opposite. So they've got, again, another little rivalry going on. Season 1's all about building these rivalries with these different characters. It's an alright episode. There's some funny moments in it here and there, but if I'm being honest, I'd probably say it's about a run-of-the-mill C-tier episode. It's nothing special, if I'm perfectly honest. Nothing special for me. It's not one that I go back to rewatch very often. So for that reason, I got to put it about run-of-the-mill C-tier. Okay, then we've got the Harvest Moon Festival, which is interesting because we get to see a little bit of Millie's family. So we get to see her, her mum and her dad, bits and pieces of her family. We get introduced properly to Stryker, who we find out is an assassin who's trying to basically kill Stolas for, unbeknownst to his wife, Stella, who's arranged all this. So yeah, it is quite a fun, little interesting episode. And getting to see Millie's family is also interesting. Getting to see that the crew have more people that they care about outside of work. So that's really, really nice. So I quite like that. Stryker as a character is really, really cool. So I did really like it. Would I say it's as good as Murder Family or Lululand? Probably not. I would say, again, it is probably about a B tier, sort of on par with like the pilot and Spring Broken for me. It's definitely better than Cherub. But yeah, I still really like Murder Family and Lululand. So just not good enough for A tier, unfortunately. Okay, episode 6, Truth Seekers. This episode's pretty good. This has got the famous, which is also on the U2s, I believe, on the back, Moxie's like coffee order that he gets, where because Blitz and Moxie get kidnapped by the secret agents in this one, and Millie and Luna have to rescue them. And they're trying to find out like where they've come from, how they can use them, this, that, and the other. The agents are an interesting bunch of characters. I hope we see them again. We did see them. The last time we saw them was in short number 4, Chupacabras. They finally came back after a bit of a gap. So hopefully we'll see them again. They're alright characters. They're not the best, but they're fun when they're on screen. I do like the dynamic you get between Moxie and Blitz. You also get that weird, trippy song that Blitz and Moxie have. It's quite a funny one. I'd have to listen to it again. It is a fairly decent episode. I do enjoy it. Again, though, I think it is probably about a B tier, if I'm being perfectly honest. I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it. That sort of thing. Then we've got episode 7, Aussies. This is an interesting one. So we get introduced to... We got proper Fizzaroli in this. We got Asmodeus. sin of lust. And it's about, and you got Millie and Moxie who go on this long-awaited date to Asmodeus's restaurant in the Lust Ring, and Blitz is like spying on them, trying to see what they're getting up to. But you need a date in order to go in, so he calls up Stolas, and they end up going on a little bit of a date, sort of trying to build that bond that little bit more. Yeah, it's a fun episode. And I do like, Fizzaroli and Asmodeus as characters. I think they are really, really good. If I'm being honest, though, is it an episode I come back to rewatch? This might be a bit of a controversial one, but it's probably about a run-of-the-mill C-tier episode for me, if I'm being honest. And I'm sorry, hun. I know you love Fizzaroli so much, so that's probably going to hurt you a little bit. But it is probably about a run-of-the-mill middle ground episode, if I'm being perfectly honest. However, this next episode, and this is going to shock some people, this next episode is my favourite episode of Season 1. It's also the finale of Season 1, Queen Bee. Yeah, where we get introduced to Beelzebub, or B, another one of the sins, the sin of gluttony. I think it's the sin of gluttony. I'm fairly certain it's the sin of gluttony. If it's not, I'll put on screen, but I'm fairly certain it is. She's really cool. I love B. She's brilliant and has one of the best songs in Season 1, for me anyway. I love that song. The Cotton Candy song. I think it's brilliant. This one, you focus as well on Luna, and I'm really glad that you do, because Luna needs more love. Luna sort of goes to this party. You get to see her be almost like a teenager, a child, where she gets to go to this like house party run by Queen Bee and her boyfriend Vortex, who we saw earlier in the series in Spring Broken. And yeah, she's sort of trying to integrate, be cool, but it's all going a bit wrong. Whereas you've got Blitz, who's trying to be cool as well, but he's worried that he's going to end up being alone forever because he's struggling to find love and connect with people. He doesn't think he deserves it. So you get these seeds are being sown, which then are built upon then in Season 2, which I really, really like. So for that reason, Queen Bee, for me, is going in S tier. I love the scene at the end when Luna takes Blitz home because he's too drunk. And Blitz is like trying to confide and sort of go to Luna for support, thinking that you'll never leave me, you'll always be there for me. And she ends it with like, I'll be there, Dad. I love it whenever Luna calls Blitzo Dad. It's really sweet whenever she does that. So I adored that. And then he just vomits at the end because he's like saying, oh, I don't need to be sick. But then he is actually sick. So it's, yeah. So yeah, Queen Bee is definitely the first S tier. And definitely my favourite episode of Season 1. Moving into Season 2, obviously this is where things start to build up. We get a lot more of that emotional connection, and we're sowing the seeds for the conflict that then comes towards the end of the season. So first we've got Season 2, Episode 1, The Circus. This is a sort of backstory a little bit into Blitz and Stolas, how they met, their relationship as kids, as when they're younger. How Stolas, got entangled with Stella, all of that, how he was given the grimoire and all this. It is really interesting, and it is quite a fun little episode. For me, I would say it is probably about a B tier. It is a fun episode, and I like these episodes where you get to go back and see, how it all started. And, to put it at the start of the season is also a good thing as well, I suppose. Especially since you've had Season 1, you'll have a little bit of a gap, and then you get Season 2, so you get that refresher. So it is quite nice. Then we got Episode 2, Seeing Stars. Now, this episode focuses predominantly on Octavia again, and I love episodes that focus on Octavia. I think it is absolutely brilliant. I adore this episode. It is one of my favourite episodes of the show. People are probably going to be like, what? Really? But yeah, this for me is also going in S tier. I love Seeing Stars. I love the relationship that Octavia has with Luna. I love the relationship she has with Stolas in this one as well. I think it's brilliant. There's a hilarious scene in this one with Blitz getting mistaken for a movie star. I think it's Brendan Rangers, something like that. Which I think is hilarious. You've also got Moxie trying to buy this weird CD and art or whatever off this guy, trying to raise money, and he ends up getting a bit addicted and buys all these different trinkets, and then he's unable to bring them back. I love all the little subplots that's going on around it. You really get to see the personalities of the characters grow, and so I absolutely adore it. I've watched this episode billions of times. I love it to pieces. So that it had to go in the S tier for me. Next episode as well, though, X's and O's. Before I describe it, instantly also going into the S tier. I adore this episode. You get a bit more backstory into Moxie in this one, where he goes home and he visits his dad, Crimson, who was called IMP on the premise of doing a job, but actually he's just trying to lure Moxie back so that he can marry him off to someone. Basically, thinking that he's going to become super rich, but it turns out that's not the case. It is a hilarious episode, and you get to see Millie and Moxie at their best, at their peak, and I think it's brilliant. I absolutely love this episode from start to finish. This is an episode that I have probably watched more than any other episode of Helluva Boss. I just love the implication that Crimson thinks that Moxie's gay. Even no matter how many times he says about that he's got a wife and stuff like that, he just thinks that it's like a phase and he thinks it's gay. He's gay, and it's like, so he sets up the whole house with like penises in the walls and in the chairs and stuff like that. And my favourite line of the whole thing is Moxie thinking like, Dad, why would I like anything like this? Who on earth would like stuff like this? Something like that. And then you can just hear Blitz in the background going, ha ha, there's dicks in the walls. It's hilarious. I love it. And at the end as well, when they finally do escape and they get away from it, and they're safely back in their workplace, and Blitz, Millie, and Moxie are all like having a hug. Blitz basically says, and we can all sleep silently and all knowing that we've all fucked the same guy. It's unbelievable. But yeah, it's a really good episode. X's and O's. If there's one episode of Helluva Boss you should watch that one. It's a good episode. Then we've got episode 4, Western Energy. See, I'm torn with this one because I could also put this in S tier, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it could. No, I'm going to also put it in S tier. I know. It feels wrong, but I do really enjoy this episode as well. So this episode, Stolas gets kidnapped by Stryker because Stella's fed up of waiting and just wants him to act. So kidnaps him and takes him out west. Blitz is in the middle of trying to give Luna a shot that he's been booking for ages, so he's unable to go after Stolas. So he sends Millie and Moxie after Stolas. So you've got all these different plots going on, and I just think it's hilarious. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Stryker, again, is brilliant. Stolas is fantastic. Millie and Moxie teaming up. I love it when Millie and Moxie team up. And even the fun stuff that's going on with Blitz when he's going to get Luna a shot is brilliant. I adore it. Fantastic episode. Another episode that I've watched to death. Has to go into S tier for me. However, after this episode, it does really badly dip for me. We've got unhappy campers, and unfortunately, this episode makes me an unhappy camper. I really don't like this episode. I'm awfully sorry. I despise this episode. This episode for me is going all the way down here in E tier. That might annoy some people because I know there will definitely be fans of this episode. I can't stand it. I hate the way that Millie and Moxie are portrayed in this episode. I just think it is weird, stupid, and wrong. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of them. The way that Moxie treats Millie in this episode, I'm just not. The one bit I do like that we find out that the whole mission is to basically find Blitz's sister, Barbie Wire, and I think Barbie Wire is cool. I love Barbie Wire's design. She is badass, and I love the conversation that Blitz has with her, and I also love the fact that she can't bring herself to forgive Blitz for what he's done. I really want to see Barbie Wire again. Can we please bring her back? She's brilliant. She is amazing. So that was one positive. That's the only reason it's not in F tier, is for Barbie Wire. But I'm not a fan of Happy Campers. Don't like it, so I'm not going to go over it anymore. Then we've got episode 6, Oops. which I know that this is my fiance's. It's one of her favorite episodes because it's a Fizzaroli heavy episode. But this episode also gives Blitz and Fizzaroli a lot of time to have some deeper conversations because they get kidnapped by Crimson. And Asmodeus and Stolas, are trying to save them. But they're trapped in a cage for a lot of this episode, and they have chats about the past and what went right, what went wrong, how can they fix it, try to make amends, which they do end up doing to a degree by the end of the episode, which is really nice. I do like that. I think it is really, really good. However, I'm only going to put it in a B tier. And I know my fiance will probably be screaming, and she'll probably say, "Why is this not S tier or why is this not A tier?" Yeah, it's just not that high for me. I like it, and I like the direction they went, and I love Fizzaroli. He is a good character. That's why I had to pick up the YouTubes as well, even though I'm getting them all. But even though I love Fizzaroli, it didn't really make the episode any better for me. But it is still a good, strong episode. I do really like it. Okay, moving on, we've got the mid-season finale of Season 2, which has got a very long title, and I think I've got this right. Mammon's Magnificent Musical Mid-Season Special. Yeah, that's a bit of a mouthful. Yeah, this is quite a fun episode. This is quite a fun episode, and again, it builds on the last episode where Blitz is now got a little bit of a better relationship now with Fizzaroli after the events of the previous episode. They're sort of building that bond back up, and Fizzaroli's trying to show that he's still relevant. He works for Mammon, so another one of the sins as well, which is really, really cool. I like Mammon, he's good. He's a cool sin. He does this show every year to sort of promote the toy line that he does, and he's sort of the face of everything, so it feels like he needs to be perfect all the time, and it's and he's got people like Blitz and Asmodeus trying to tell him that he is perfect and he doesn't need to live up to these weird, ridiculous expectations, but Fizzaroli can't see it because he thinks of himself as just this little imp that realistically Asmodeus shouldn't be like messing around with. But it is fun. I like it. I think it's very sweet. I love the song that he has when he finally basically tells Mammon to go fuck himself and he quits. It's a brilliant, brilliant song. I know my fiance loves it. It is really, really good. And Blitz tags along as a bodyguard for Fizzaroli. Asmodeus hires him to do that, which Fizzaroli thinks is confusing, but he goes along with it. I think if this episode had come out before Oops, Fizz definitely wouldn't have had Blitz as the bodyguard, but because of that, he sort of kind of partly accepts it. Yeah, it's not too bad as a finale. Again, I would say, like Oops, I would say in the middle, B tier for me. And that's a lot of what these episodes, I've noticed a pattern. A lot of them are like sort of middle ground. Oh boy, though, we get into the heavy hitters now, because now we are on The Full Moon, the episode that people were waiting for ages, because we were wondering what's going to happen when Blitz is free from his deal with Stolas. Is it going to still be the same? Is this going to tear them apart? Does it tear them apart? Oh boy, does it. It is the start of the really emotional episodes in the series. And I think they do a fantastic job at getting that emotion high. I'm putting it up here in A tier because on repeat viewings, it really hits home, and it tugs at your heartstrings. I'm glad that now, by the end of this season, we have sort of got to the stage now where they've sort of partly repaired that relationship, and hopefully they can go forward now better, but we'll have to wait and see. Episode 9, Apology Tour. This is a fun episode. I quite like this episode, so I'm going to put this also in A tier. Basically, it's this big party that Veronica and all have thrown. It's full of all the people that Blitz has dated, all the people Blitz has wronged, all of his exes. They basically all come together to just join forces and say F you Blitzo, basically, pretty much. It is a fun episode, and we needed that after the previous episode where it was a bit more sad and a bit more downbeat, to have a bit more of a fun episode, even though it was still serious, I thought was quite interesting. So I really liked that. I thought Apology Tour was great. Okay, so now we're getting into the episodes that I've actually done a reaction to on my channel. So the first one is Ghost Fuckers. Now, when I first watched it, I quite liked it. However, on repeat viewings and thinking about it more, I actually wasn't that keen on it, if I'm being honest. And if anything, I would say I'm probably going to get hate for this. I'm going to put it in D tier, Ghost Fuckers. Now, hear me out before you all start going wild and being like, oh my god, what on earth are you doing? How dare you put it that low on the list? Hear me out. Right, okay. The positives first with Ghost Fuckers, because there are. It's not an absolute train wreck of an episode. I like the fact that they've got Blitz and Millie together. I think pairing those two up is really nice for a change, to see them bond, see how they get on, and the conversations that they have together are brilliant. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Also, making Blitz, there's the scene where the host of the hotel that they're going to, I think I had to write his name down, so I forgot it initially. Rolando. He turns out to be a demon from Envy. Is tormenting Blitz and causing him to look back over his past failings and all the people he's hurt and this, that, and the other. I thought that was really, really good as well and solid. And then he possesses Blitz. I thought that was brilliant. But I don't know, it just felt like one of those episodes where a lot happened yet nothing happened. And it's not really one that, if I'm honest, I've wanted to go back and watch. Only reason I've done another viewing of this is because I wanted to double check my thoughts on it before doing this video. If I wasn't doing a video on it where I was ranking all the episodes, I probably wouldn't have gone back to watch Ghost Fuckers. And that's a little bit disappointing to me, if I'm being perfectly honest. So that's the reason why it's so low. But yeah, remember, this is just my opinion, and I know some people love Ghost Fuckers, and that is perfectly fine, and I'm glad that you can find enjoyment out of it. It's just, it wasn't for me. Okay, it just wasn't for me. And remember, I'm looking at the episode as a whole, not just based on one moment. One moment doesn't make an episode fantastic. If the rest is terrible, the rest is terrible in my eyes. Mastermind. Episode 11, Mastermind. This was an interesting one. We got to see all the sins again, plus some of the new sins that we haven't seen yet. So hopefully in season 3 we'll get proper episodes dedicated to them. It was a bit of like almost like a hurrah of all the characters, because you got to see literally everyone in this episode. Bee, Mammon, Asmodeus. You had Stella. You had everybody in this. Fizzaroli. You just got everyone. Everyone makes a cameo in this. Striker. The list goes on, okay? And it was brilliant and really emotional. I really did like Mastermind. And on a repeat viewing, I still liked Mastermind. I thought it was good. So for me, Mastermind, and the song is brilliant as well. So I'm going to go and pop that into A tier. I loved it. Loved it, and I still love it. It's a fantastic episode. And then the final episode of Helluva Boss, Season 2, Episode 12, Sinsmas. Right, okay, so when I watched it, I really liked it again, but then I let it settle on me for a bit, and then I went back and watched it, and I thought, do I like the episode, or do I just like parts of it? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, it's only bits that I like. And also I had to think, did I like it the same as Mastermind? And the answer was no. I'm going to put this instantly in C tier, because I don't think it's a terrible episode. I think it's like your run-of-the-mill middle ground episode, if I'm perfectly honest. Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not great either, if I'm being perfectly honest. I will say the biggest positive of this episode is by far the speech that Stolas and Octavia have at the end, where they're both pouring their feelings out to each other. Stolas trying to convince Octavia that he loves her, she means so much to him, it was nothing to do with the pills, this, that, and the other. And Octavia's still, like, she's full of emotion, she's sort of blinded by it at that point. She thinks that Stolas has chosen Blitzo over her, that her fears have come true, and so is ignoring everything he says. And you can see both the arguments there. You can see Stolas' side, you can see Octavia's, and it's heartbreaking. Again, it gives you that not apology tour, that full moon confrontation between Blitzo and Stolas level of emotion, and it is brilliant, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go from here. I also obviously love the revelation that we found at the end that Millie's pregnant, because that then sets up a lot for the future. Just to give you my quick thoughts on Millie's pregnancy thing again, I think it's mostly going to be just down to the fact that she might just be worried about bringing a baby into that lifestyle. I mean, you work in a profession where you go out and kill people, or you go out and you hunt down bad guys, and you put yourself in danger 24/7. Is that really the best lifestyle for a child? I don't know. So I think maybe she might have some internal conflicts about that. But it will be interesting to see how Moxie finds out and how he takes it. I want a little bit of conflict, please. But yeah, overall, middle ground. There's a couple of really good things in it, but I remember the first probably like 50 minutes, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit bored. Which is a shame. But it's an alright episode. I included these now as a little tag on at the end because I thought you got to. We've got the Helluva Boss shorts. And these were brilliant and good gap fillers. So the first one, Hell's Bells. Brilliant, beautiful. See the relationship between, I was going to say Moxie then, Millie and Sally Mae is gorgeous. Getting to see them show how much they're missing each other, how much they still have that good sisterly bond, but are missing each other because of, where they are in their lives, I think was done really, really well. So for me, that is an A-tier Helluva Boss short. It was fantastic. Helluva Boss Short 2, Mission Antarctica. This is my favourite, and it's going instantly in S tier. I loved the second one. So you've got a little bit of a mini mission here with Blitzo, Moxie, and Millie going to Antarctica, where they see this little base that's been under siege. It's been trashed. There's claw marks everywhere. There's these dead corpses around. You find out it's to do with these killer penguins. These slurring killer penguins, who are hilarious, might I add. They are brilliant. I haven't laughed that hard in a while. I loved watching that short. It was brilliant. So easily, hands down, is probably my favourite of the Helluva Boss shorts. So please bring back those penguins. Now we've got Helluva Boss Short 3, Weeaboo Boo, with famous character Emberlyn. This was an episode that broke the internet. This short did. People went wild when this one came out because of Emberlyn and her, like, the fan fiction she wrote and the way she acts. We all know what she is, but it's brilliant, and it's just a Blitzo solo mission. Just a Blitz solo mission, going out of his way to to bring her down. It's just fun. It's just fun. What can I say? It is fun. I love it. Once the hype has died down about it, though, would I say it's my favourite of the shorts? No. Would I say it's a good short? Yeah, I would say so. It's just whether I put it in B tier or A tier. I'm going to put it B tier. For me, it doesn't quite hit the high levels that it needs to, if I'm being perfectly honest. It's a good one, but not the all-time best. And finally, we get to Helluva Boss Short 4, Chupacabras with the goats. Probably the funniest short, even though Mission Antarctica is my favourite short, this is the funniest short, and it brings back the secret agents as well, which is really nice. Can we please bring back, I think the fandom has deemed it as Blitzo. Can we bring the goat back? Please bring the goat back. I need to see the goat again. Hilarious. The fact that Blitz doesn't know what a goat is hilarious. Although me and my fiance and other people have sort of come to the conclusion that when he's talking about Sorry about that, guys. Awfully sorry. But as I was saying, yeah, I want to see Blitzo come back. But yeah, Mission Chupacabras is really interesting. And yeah, how Blitzo doesn't know about the goats is unbelievable. And I was saying before that me and my fiance and sort of the community have sort of come to the realization that maybe when in Sinsmas, Blitzo was talking to Stolas about him being one of those long horses. Maybe he was trying to refer to him as a giraffe and just couldn't think of the name, because he was thinking about something that was really tall and long. I don't know. It's a bit weird. I know it's silly. It's silly. It was just a funny little comment. But anyway, Mission Chupacabras. Yeah, I quite like it, and for that reason, it's going to go into A tier. So there we are, guys. That is my list ranking every Helluva Boss episode and short. Now, I know this is going to be a little bit controversial. I know people are going to pick this apart, and that's fine. But just can you please be respectful and just know this is just my opinion, and your list can differ. We're all different. We all like different things, okay? But that is my list. That was a long time coming. But I thought this was the perfect time to do it in the circumstances. But I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please like it by giving it a thumbs up. Comment down below what are your thoughts on my list and what are your favourite Helluva Boss episodes and shorts. And subscribe if you are new. But for now, this is the Nerdy Grail signing off. I hope you have an amazing day and I will see you all next time. Bye for now, everyone.